All right, let's talk about fighting in Cuba. Secretary of State John Hayes said a very famous quote, which is what this war is remembered for. He called it a splendid little war because it lasted 16 weeks and we beat the snot out of the Spanish. Okay, I mean, we just decimated them. It was a David and Goliath situation, okay? All right, so the first battle is a pretty big one. It's called the Battle of Manila, okay? Fighting started in the Philippines, which is, Manila is the capital. Commodore George Dewey easily defeated the Spanish fleet with one casualty, okay? So, we had a massive modern navy. They had an aging wooden fleet, okay? At Manila, our cannons shot so far that they couldn't even get close to us. The only soldier that died at the Battle of Manila on the American side was one that died from heat stroke from loading the cannons. So that's how lopsided of a victory this was. Now, when George Dewey actually defeated the Spanish fleet at Manila, he telegraphed William McKinley and said, "We captured Manila." And William McKinley said, "Great, where's that?" Okay, so that kind of shows you how clueless McKinley was at the time. Okay, he didn't even know that his own navy was in a battle, much less where it was. Okay, so the U.S. Army, even though we were a superior force, we were not prepared for this war because it came upon us so suddenly. All right, ships could not unload cargo. Okay, because we hadn't prepared for it. So at a particular battle that we're going to talk about later, they actually took the horses because they didn't have the proper smaller ships to get them on shore, and they just threw them into the sea. Well, they threw them into the sea on a sandbar. So they thought that the horses could just, like, you know, basically walk on into Cuba. What ended up happening is the sandbar was higher than the beach, you know, where the area between the sandbar and the beach. So the horses walk off this sandbar, and there was really rough surf that day, and all the horses drowned, okay? So, and then the men had to go next, so you can imagine swimming through 10-foot waves with dead horses hitting you in the head, and this is kind of what they were going through. We had wool uniforms, okay? Y'all, Cuba is farther south than Louisiana, and this was fought during the summer. So you can imagine having wool pants and a wool jacket, and it's like 110 degrees outside and 100% humidity. People were dropping like flies from heat stroke and stuff like that. We had single-shot rifles, and the Germans, not the Germans, excuse me, wrong war. The Spanish had bolt-action rifles that held several rounds in the magazine. So dysentery killed more soldiers than bullets on the American side. Now, I don't know if you know what dysentery is, but you get dysentery from drinking bad water, and basically it gives you bloody diarrhea until you die. Okay. So what the soldiers started doing is they took the back of their wool uniform pants and they cut a flap out. Okay, a square flap in the back. So they'd be charging up the hill, and then all of a sudden they get the bubble guts, and they just have to squat and spray everywhere, and then continue running. Okay, that's how bad the dysentery was at the Battle of San Juan Hill, which is where Teddy won his big victory. It must have been a really crappy thing to go through. Anyway. So the next video is going to be about the Battle of San Juan Hill.